It's a real shame for Patrick, isn't it? Because he actually made you look so much more threatening going forwards in the second half, but obviously couldn't stick away the penalty.
He's had a rough year, Pat has, and there's nobody works harder. The strikers have these patches of form, and when we got the second penalty, which then wasn't, Pat was the first one, and he said, "No, I'm having it," and that's credit to him. That's the type of characters we need in the team, and we had that today. I think everyone to a man was good, and it's just heartbreaking and absolutely gutting to come away with nothing.
I've asked them to focus on performance, to play with confidence, and to play with discipline in terms of the way we want to play. And you see when we do that we can be a very good team. This is the best team in the league. I think they've been marching through the league pretty easily. And today we made it very difficult and showed that actually on the day we were better.
The last 4 teams that have made the start you have gone on to win the Premier League title. Is there something special happening at the moment?
It's very special for us to have that level of consistency to win in many different contexts. Today was a very special context. After Thursday, after coming here, then the no power, then delayed with the VAR decision, with the way we have to suffer the second half, I think this team deserves some credit.
And you're glad they found the batteries for VAR, given what happened late on?
Well, I think it turned out to be crucial.
It did. We got there in the end. They were under the pump for a lot of that game, were Arsenal. And Mikel Arteta also said after it had probably been their biggest test so far. So they do deserve a lot of credit for coming through that.
Certainly they played with a lot of spirit, with a lot of grit, backs to the wall. Leeds were magnificent, certainly in the second half, but the quality from Saka for his goal was, the kid is just fantastic. He's the most creative player that, since Arteta's been there, everything seems to go through him. I know Jesus is the new story, but Saka just gets better. Ødegaard loves that little slot in there, and Arsenal are trying to get it out. It's come from Rodrigo, which is a plus for Arsenal. And once he gets into there, it's just a little give and go, and he's waiting. He just pins the fullback, plays it in behind, and look at this for a finish. And I've seen him sky a few of these recently. So he's certainly meant this. He's been practicing it. That's that little area there for Ødegaard. He does that every week. Little running off the ball, he's looking, he's just waiting, and then puts the burners on, and he settles himself nicely and just puts it into the roof of the net. So that's a top level finish, and really that was the difference in the end, because the second half was then a completely different game from a point of view of Leeds. It really did turn on Patrick Bamford coming off the bench.
Well, go on, man. You've combined both your pieces of analysis in one answer. So
well, I just think that if he could play every week, then Leeds would be certainly somewhat higher in the table.
Definitely.
I just felt sorry for him today a little bit. Of course, I'm sitting there as an Arsenal former player, hiding behind the sofa at times because it was that good. This was only a minute or so. He's come off the bench, a minute or so in. You guys were all screaming because you're not Arsenal fans, but I knew he'd pushed him, and in the end, that was the case. But look how expertly they press. It's really brilliant the way they do this. Aronson there feeding him, Bamford again. This comes back to him, and I just feel here he's got to hit this first time. Just nitpick him, but I think, look, you see the frustration with him, but he's a part of this press to get this ball back, and Arsenal was just playing into their hands a little bit. It's a ferocious atmosphere there. Again, I think he maybe could have hit that slightly earlier, but Ramsdale comes out brilliantly to smother the problem. I haven't seen anybody give these two central defenders this amount of problem, to be fair to him. Again, look at that, Gabriel gets in the way and they clear up. And this one, great movement again. I wonder if Saliba there, a little tug on him. I wonder if maybe could he go down? Perhaps
if he had gone down, he'd have got a foul, wouldn't he?
If he'd gone down, he's off. Gabriel's off there at that point. I mean, he was sent off again, actually. That was Saliba at that time. But lovely little layoff again. And again, that's Somerville coming off the bench, should be putting that away. So it's a missed opportunity for Leeds, but I mean, they're the sort of games, if you want to be champions or you want to challenge to be champions, you have to get points and get a win, and that was a brilliant result for Arsenal today.
His stats, as we saw there, were fantastic for Patrick Bamford, and yeah, he had some chances and he missed the penalty as well. But because of the injuries he's had, you can see what's there. It's just about getting up to match speed, isn't it?
He looks fit enough. I mean, his confidence a lot of the times with strikers. They get a couple of goals and then they feel more comfortable. He just seems to take too many touches at times, trying to get that perfect finish, whereas when you've been playing and you've got a bit of rhythm, you're getting shots off much more quickly. But Leeds have got to turn those good performances into some points sooner rather than later, because they did the same for the majority of the game against Palace last week, played with a good intensity, made some chances and ended up losing the game.
Did you see a different resilience and fight in Arsenal, Cliff?
It's been there all season, chappers. When you go to Brentford and you win a game 3-0 comfortably, they've beaten Spurs and Liverpool recently at home, but this is one you go to. It's a young group. When you go to Ellen Road, I always found that a ferocious atmosphere to play in. Really, really difficult. Certainly when they're playing into that main core fans as they were second half, and they stood up to that, and that was an outstanding result.
Right, Aston Villa's stuttering.
A little bit of Europa League hangover, obviously playing a couple of days ago, but sometimes you're going to get tested. Ellen Road is a tough place to go, hostile atmosphere. Probably Arsenal of last season would have lost this tie, but they managed to dig in there, obviously with the help of VAR and the referee. But it's another 3 points, and the players are playing well, and again they'll take confidence because it was a different type of win. We used to see in Arsenal the last couple of weeks, free-flowing football. Today they have to dig in and grind out a result, and they managed to do that.
Yeah, 4 goals for Saka this week because he scored in the week, scored a couple against Liverpool. And I think what people are looking for is to add goals, isn't it, regularly to his game, which is pretty impressive as it is.
There's not a lot that he can't do, to be honest with you. He works really hard for the team, backwards, forwards, down the right-hand side. His left foot's genius, but this one's on his right foot. And I'm thinking to myself, who's actually finished that? I didn't expect Saka to have this kind of finish on his right foot in his locker. And that has gone right. Keeper probably, but I just think the finish is great. Let's think of the positives.
It hits it so hard. I think it's almost easy to criticise the keeper, isn't it?
Yeah, it is easy to criticise because it's on an angle, but he's in form. He's doing everything he needs to do, and he's ticking a lot of boxes: goals, assists, hard work. That's his spot now. That right-hand side, his spot.
Mikel Arteta admitted Arsenal were pretty good first half and pretty average second half, and they needed VAR to come to their rescue and the referee. Chris, right, let's take this chronologically because there's quite a lot in here. And it's all to do with Patrick Bamford. Right, first of all, he thinks he's equalised for 1-1. There may be some discrepancy in the studio about this decision.
Yeah, he does think he's equalised for 1-1, but the whistle has clearly gone before the ball goes in the net, and he actually points at his chest and says, "I didn't handball it." But when we look at this, we can quite clearly see there's a foul. Darren will disagree with me. He doesn't think it's much of a foul, but he actually does foul the
Has
Arsenal
he not just
defender.
eased the defender out of the way with a good and clever use of body weight?
He eased him out? No.
That's what it is, Pook. It's clever from Gabriel because he's gone up too early. He knows he can't win the header. He's felt a little bit of contact on his back. Like, no, I can't win it. I mean, it's not even a pushes it. I mean, anywhere else on the pitch, that's not a foul. They play on.
Yeah, I think it's a foul. And I'll tell you why I think it's a foul, because if you see it again, you can see that Bamford kind of, he puts all his weight on his back foot and leans forward. He puts all his weight on his back foot and pushes him forward. It's an unnatural way to get control of the ball. Watch his weight. He puts all his weight on it when it's on the back foot and lunges forward. Bit of a lunge. There's nothing. Listen, don't
You
get
should
me
be a
wrong.
detective.
You're
wasted here.
How many times, though, does the ball go up to centre forward and the centre half does the exact same thing?
Yeah.
Leans on his back,
Yeah.
heads it.
All the
nothing.
time. All the
And
time.
no foul.
I used to love it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is...
I used to love doing that.
No foul, Chris, what are you doing?
The thing is as well, it's being checked, and is it clearly and obviously wrong? Well, it isn't clearly and obviously wrong, and that's why the decision is stood.
Okay, penalty next. Clear handball, really good VAR. Chris Kavanagh can't quite see it, can he? Because it's the blind side of him. You can see as the ball drops, the Leeds player's actually obscuring his view, but it's clearly handball.
This is exactly why VAR was brought in, wasn't it? The referee doesn't see it, the assistant referee doesn't see it. Very cute, just controls it, brings it down.
He slightly panics, Saliba, doesn't he? He goes, oh, it's about to hit my hand, or it's hit my hand.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's going to be a problem for them, is it? If he moves his hand, it's going to just roll through to the keeper.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think he panics.
Not a great penalty, I'm afraid.
Dragged it, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, I think as a golden rule of any penalty, if you miss the target, I think that's not acceptable. I mean, if he saves it, fair play, you made the keeper work. But missing the target is letting them off, because if the keeper saves it, someone might tap the rebound in. But when you completely miss the target, yes, that's unacceptable.
You know, a lot of the time, because Ramsdale's playing so well, it does sow a seed in the penalty taker's mind that he's actually in form. So I have to put this
a little bit more.
Right,
he's going for postage stamp, isn't
I
he?
have to put this even further in the corner because I'm taking a penalty against a goalkeeper that's on fire. So you try in harder to put it in the corner.
And as we've said, because he's left-footed, his shot is always going to go away from the post, away from the goal. To overcook that. So Arsenal thought they pretty much got there deep into stoppage time. Right, talk us through the sequence here.
Okay, so what we've got is Patrick Bamford, I think it's Gabriel, isn't it? And there's a collision, and you see there's a flick out by Gabriel. There's obviously communication from the assistant referee to Chris Kavanagh, the referee who's not seen it. He sees that, well, he's been informed that he's kicked out in a violent way, and he gets a red card and a penalty kick. Now, we know with a red card it's automatically checked, but you can see that the instigator in this situation is Bamford, because he clearly pushes the Arsenal player over. So he obviously goes to the monitor and changes his decision. Now, the question is, why a yellow card? Well, he gets a yellow card for, I would describe as reckless play, for the way he's flicked out. And we've gone from a penalty and a red to a defensive free kick and a yellow. Probably the biggest difference in VAR we've had this season. But it's the right call.
Yeah. I think that is the right call, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I'm glad kind of Chris summed up the yellow, because I thought, okay, no red. I didn't even see a yellow card incident in there, but the fact that it's not a red card, I think that is the right decision.
Yeah. Bamford clearly barges into Gabriel there, doesn't he?
Yeah, there's nothing in it really, is there? Yeah, I think Bamford does. Gabriel knows what he's doing.
Yes.
He goes into his running line.
Yeah.
Bamford nudges him over. Gabriel's thinking, well, I can't let you get away with that. Studs are showing, let's have a bit of this.
Chris, if Gabriel's booked for that, why is Bamford not booked for this? Because he's much to do as Gabriel. He's shoved him, he's got involved in the...
Because the referee just felt that it was just a clear push, where that was more reckless play, the fact he's flicked out.
Okay.
So no push, no yellow card for the push?
No.
Okay.
Did you see Gabriel go, well done, ref, well done?
He was delighted.
That's never happened to me.
Are Arsenal genuine title contenders?
Yes.
Yes!
It's hurt me to say.